Okay, if you've watched the first video in this series, then you know how meringue works. So let's talk about the first type of meringue. This is basic meringue or French meringue. This is the simplest kind of meringue to make, and the most important part of this meringue is that there's no heat involved in making it, so it has to be cooked before it's eaten. It's very unstable. It will not hold for very long, especially if it's sitting on your counter, you've whipped it up and you just let it sit. It will deflate very quickly, but it's the simplest and easiest to make. The amounts of the ingredients don't matter in this video because depending on what recipe you use and whatever you're making this meringue for, you're going to need different amounts of egg whites and sugar and the cream of tartar. So the way to make French meringue is to take your egg whites in the bowl and your cream of tartar. And you don't have to whip up your egg whites at all before you add the cream of tartar. You can just add it straight in the beginning. And you're gonna whip the egg whites and cream of tartar together just until they start to get foamy on top. Okay, this is how they're gonna look for you. They're still quite runny, as you can see, but they have that foam starting to form on top. All the bubbles are really uneven. This is the point at which you start adding your sugar. Now, you actually want the sugar to dissolve into the egg whites, not to just mix it in. You want it to dissolve and completely disappear. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with a really grainy meringue. Now, depending on how much meringue you're making and how much sugar you're gonna use, you're gonna wanna add the sugar in stages. Usually add it in about 3 or 4 parts. If you're making a huge batch, if you happen to have a huge mixer, you're gonna use more batches than that. But for this amount of egg white, about 3 batches will work. So you add in the first one, let it mix on about medium for 30 seconds, add the next one, let it mix, add the last, and then you're good. So we're gonna add the first little bit in. Let it mix for a bit on medium. You don't wanna mix it on high quite yet because you don't wanna whip it up. Right now you're sort of just integrating all the sugar, so you wanna leave it on around medium. Now as you mix in the sugar, you're gonna notice that all the big bubbles that you had before are gonna get a lot smaller, and now you're gonna have a uniform look to the foam. Now's when you can turn it up to high and you can whip it up to whatever stage peak you need. Now, whipping this up does take a few minutes. You can do it with either a stand mixer or a hand mixer, and if you have a larger batch, it's gonna take longer, so don't worry if it seems to be taking a while to whip up to whatever peak you need. And that's all you have to do to make basic meringue. And once you achieve whatever peak you need, you're good to go. Now, you don't wanna let this meringue sit very long on the counter, so make sure you time your recipe right. And if you don't need it until the very end, I would recommend not whipping up this meringue until close to the very end when you'll actually need it, so it doesn't have to sit very long. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will put links to the rest of the meringue videos right here. And if you have any questions about basic meringue or any of the other meringues, how it works, anything, please don't hesitate to ask your questions down below in the comments, and I will do my best to answer all of them. And if you want to be notified when I put up new videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe down below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!